Hey, welcome to Seeds Move Mountains. I'm Jeff, and in this video what I want to show you is how do you get really awesome soil, maybe the perfect soil to grow tomatoes in. And that's what we're going to be doing in this raised planter bed. Now this used to have blackberries in it, but we're transplanting those and moving those to a different part of our yard. So now we have to change the soil because it's a little bit different. You know, blackberries, we pretty much put the soil that came in our yard naturally that we just dug up when we leveled out our garden area, and then we added a little bit of amendment to it, a little bit of compost over the past couple of years, but we want to really get it right for the maximum crop for our tomatoes. So in Colorado there's one thing that we do really well, and it's clay. You can see that's basically just a ball of a clay soil. Horrible for tomatoes. Horrible pretty much for anything you're going to grow. You need to amend that soil. Now we have put a little bit of a layer of biocomp across the top, but we're going to go ahead and amend this whole thing, till it, mix it up, and get a really good soil mix, because this down here at the bottom, like about the bottom half of this planter box, is just this clay soil that just packs into a ball. Absolutely the wrong thing for what we're doing here. So we're going to go ahead and till this in. I'm going to tell you about the biocomp we have. We bought biocomp locally. It's an all organic biocomp. We don't have enough compost in our compost area that we're doing in our yard yet to really build up the garden where we need it. We'll be able to produce the maintenance level of compost, but not actually really restoring beds or adding new beds. We're not going to nearly have enough. So we've got this organic biocomp that we're using, and we've mixed it into all of our raised planter boxes, but I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like so you can have the perfect soil for your raised bed tomatoes, and you can grow amazing tomatoes. Alright, so before we go ahead and till in all the biocomp and everything and get this soil ready, this is a pretty long bed and it's starting to bow out just a little bit. When you do your raised planter boxes, if you have longer beds, put in a board in between to hold all the middle, so the middle doesn't bow out a little bit under the pressure of the soil and water, etc. We should have done this from the beginning. We didn't. Our future boxes will have that. This is something kind of learn as you go. But we're going to add this in here to kind of draw those sides in a little bit and just keep it from bowing out any more in the future. Alright, so to get this bed ready now soil wise, we're going to take this biocomp and I'm going to show you. This is really good stuff. Very light, very airy, 100% organic, and we're going to work all that in there. Fill some of these holes where the blackberries were a little bit, and then I'm just going to start turning it, because about half of this planter box is full of just kind of clay from our yard. Not going to go well for tomatoes at all. They're going to have a very shallow root system, and that's not what we want. We want their roots to be able to explore this entire planter box and beyond if possible. So I'm going to put a little bit of this biocomp in there and then start turning it with the pickaxe. Not going to put a tiller in here, because with everything built up in here and then all this soil will start dumping over into the mulch area. We don't want a big mess. So I can turn it by hand, and it's really not that hard. So one thing you can do, when the level of your planter box is pretty low, we need to add soil across the whole thing. We don't have nearly enough in here. So one thing you can do is kind of dig a hole down to the bottom, throw a little bit of that biocomp down in there, and then we're going to work this soil that I just moved around back in there. So we're going to be working this soil around a lot to get it all dispersed and moved around in there. Here's a prime example. You can see the clay right here, clay soil, and then you can see that really rich compost that we've broken down the past couple years. Really big difference. You see that difference, baby? You see a worm in there too?
Yeah.
There he is. So that's what we want. We want everything to get this really dark, rich color. Watch your head, baby. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, so we want to get this stuff broken up, and then this mix down there in it, and we're going to keep turning it and turning it.
This is composting clay.
Yep.
There's no worms because it's too small. What about here? I don't see any worms.
All right, so right here, hopefully the light's good enough. It's starting to get a little bit close to sundown now. It's getting a little bit darker, but you can see a distinct line across the top. This black, good, rich soil that's on the top, and then the clay that's down here. So our whole task is to turn compost into that clay, and then we're gonna take all of that clay and turn it into this kind of rich, dark, black stuff. So it's not gonna be perfect soil this year. It takes a couple years to get your soil really, kind of turned into something that's really awesome. A couple years of composting, but we're still gonna have a really good bed here. Our other tomato bed is amazing. And also, stick around to the very end of this video. I'm gonna show you a secret ingredient we put in our soil for tomatoes. We do it for our whole garden, but for tomatoes especially, it makes a huge night and day difference. You don't wanna miss out. All right, we got a lot of biocomp mixed all in here. And if you're like me and you like getting your hands dirty in your garden, which I think if you garden for enough, if this is new to you, you might be like, I don't want to get my hands dirty, it gets under my fingernails, but man, as soon as you start making your own soil and producing your own top quality soil, I think you're going to enjoy getting your hands dirty. That's been my experience. So what I'm going to do now is level everything off, and then I'm going to show you that super key, gotta have it ingredient for tomatoes, and honestly every single plant in your garden will benefit. I'm going to show you in just a second. So first we're going to get this all leveled off, get our hands a little bit dirty, gives us a chance to look for any clumps of clay or any hard soil. It depends on where you live. If you have harder soil, or you might be in a sandy soil and you need to get all of that sand incorporated with some compost, here's a good chance for you to make sure that that top layer is just absolutely perfect. And I'm not worried if this is mounding up a little bit, because it's all going to settle with a little bit of time throughout the course of this growing season. Probably next year what I'll do is drop this down a couple inches, till in some more biocomp, and then we're going to have the perfect bed after that. But right now, I don't want to spend too much money on biocomp, and you don't want to put in too much biocomp on one bed. Percentage-wise, you start burning your plants. It just becomes a little bit too rich for them. So let's get this all leveled out here. Found a little bit of clay chunk there. I'm just going to break it up. It'll get incorporated with the biocomp. We're going to top dress this with a little more biocomp when we're done. A little bit more there, but not bad. I'm not taking this all the way to the bottom everywhere throughout this whole thing. So I think we're going to be really, really good. Come next year, we'll see the fruits of our labor, and we're going to see that this is rich black soil all the way to the bottom. Okay, here's that secret ingredient that I promised you. This is it right here. You might be thinking, well, what's that? This is eggshells. We save every single eggshell every single day of the year that we eat. Every time we eat eggs in our family, if we cook something, if we eat eggs, whatever we do, man, we save every single eggshell, 100%. And we rinse them out, we dry them out, we break them down by hand, and then we process them into this really fine powder. Check that out. I mean, that is really good stuff. You see, what happens with tomatoes is typically in our soil today, a lot of the calcium, either the soils are calcium deficient, creating a plant that's calcium deficient. And if you ever had your tomatoes where you get that spot on the bottom where it kind of rots out, it's probably a calcium deficiency. Now, it could be a watering problem. You could be overwatering, or just really having too many swings between really dry and then really wet, really dry and really wet. But probably the eggshell, adding this calcium to your soil is going to make a huge difference. Don't buy the store-bought stuff. Don't buy any of that. This is all 100% organic eggs that we have turned into our own calcium additive into our soil. And I'm going to tell you, we eat a lot of eggs in this house. We have plenty of this for every raised bed in our whole yard. So I'm going to top dress this, then I'm going to work it in, and then also when we take our tomatoes out of our pots and plant them in, you'll see this on a future video, is we're going to put in some more of this right as we dig a hole and we pop that tomato root ball down in there. We're going to put this all around in there as well, so it gets a big shot of calcium day one. You don't ever want that plant to be starving of calcium. This also protects your leaves on your tomato plants from that wilt that they get. If you've ever seen, if you've done tomatoes before and you've had that wilt where all the leaves, they just wilt, it doesn't matter how much you water or how little you water, whatever, 9 times out of 10, calcium deficiency. So this can solve all of your problems, because years ago we were growing tomatoes, man, and we had a beautiful crop coming and it was going to be gorgeous, and then they all started wilting, and then tomatoes that were set, the bottom started kind of rotting out, and we're like, what on earth is going on? Talked to a friend of mine who's been growing tomatoes here in Colorado for about 5 years longer than we have, and he said, sounds like a calcium deficiency. And I'm like, really? So he said, hey, just give it a try for your next crop. Save all your eggshells, put them in your soil, grind them up, make them usable, because you don't want just regular eggshells, man. It takes years for eggshells to decompose in your soil. Turn them into this powder, and they're ready for your plants to absorb them right away. So we tried that a couple years ago, and immediately our plants looked so much better. The wilt was gone, the rot on the bottom of the tomatoes gone, and we had an amazing crop. We did it even better last year, even added more calcium to it. We had more time to save up those eggshells, and now this is just a start of the eggshells that we have saved up and ground up. And this is hundreds and hundreds of eggshells just in this little bag right here. Do the same thing. I promise you, you will not regret doing so. And it makes your vegetables more healthy as well. You get more calcium in the food that you're eating. We grow completely organic here, and it's a process. It's not easy to do. It's been a bit of a trial to get the good soil for us here, but we have good soil now. We're making it better every single year. And don't be frustrated if you don't have the perfect garden the first year. It takes a couple years to have really good soil and to learn what really works in your part of the country, because, man, there could be people that are 20, 30 miles north of where we're at that grow a little bit differently than we do. So the little microclimates make a huge difference. But let's get these eggshells all out here, and then you're going to see I'm going to just work it in with my hands, and then we're going to top dress with Biocom. For those of you that don't like getting your hands dirty, there's tools for all this. I mean, I own tools for all this, but there's just something special for me about, with your own hands, making really good soil. And man, look at this. This is our end result for today. We have a little bit of clay, the native soil here, a whole lot of biocomp, some compost from the past 2 years, and a whole lot of calcium. That is good stuff right there. So I'm just going to top dress it with a little biocomp just to make sure we're good to go. And then this bed is ready to go. All right, that's it. That's how you get absolutely awesome, perfect soil for your tomatoes. Do this for a couple years of making your own compost or bringing in a good organic compost. And honestly, it might take you a couple years, 2, 3, maybe 4 years to get amazing soil. But even this batch right here, this is second year in this planter box, this is going to be very good soil. It's probably about 80% of where I want to get it. That box right behind the camera there is 100% where I want to get it. So this one's got 2 more years to go before it's 100%. I'd say next year we'll be at 90% where I want to be. And then the following year will be at 100% perfect soil. And then it's just maintaining it. It's super easy once you get to that point. It's really not even hard at this point. These are going to grow amazing this year. So thanks for checking out Seeds to Mountains. Man, we will see you next time. And give us some comments and let us know what you're doing in your urban garden, your backyard garden, your rural garden, or your homestead, whatever you're doing. And look forward to seeing you guys next time.